Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, my beautiful people, wherever you may be. It is that time of year again. It is my Super Bowl. I know y'all understand and y'all realize that I put a lot of time and work into this NFL draft and this mock draft, and this is a great time of year. And no one better to do this with than my boy Eric. And we talk about it every year, but we set this precedent back in 2026 when we decided to get together and alternate picks. We do the first round each year. We alternate who gets the first pick. And then, that it goes as that. We don't really have any other rules than that. Usually we don't have trades, but there's no rule that, that we don't have trades or whatever. It usually just goes the way it is. Now, this exercise isn't who we would do, right? We'll kind of go through and talk through, what we would do if we were in the gym or the head coaches or the owners' seats. But usually this exercise, we're going to pick, what the teams and the GMs are going to, give that card to Roger Goodell. But without further ado, Mr. Eric, how you doing, sir?
Going on, Jacob? Super Bowl champion, Jacob Boutte, everyone.
Yes, that Sam Darnold jersey. I don't know if y'all were here for the NFC preview. That Sam Darnold jersey is in the other room for you. So, and I also posted on Twitter if Sam Darnold won the Super Bowl for the Seahawks, I would buy a Sam Darnold jersey. So we both got Sam Darnold jerseys because that was unbelievable. I'm sure we'll talk about the Seahawks at the end of the night, but I laid the minus 9.5 alternate line. I think it was like plus 390. So the New England future, paid out plus 750, but had to go with the Seahawks. Obviously, they were the better team. It's kind of funny how last year's draft we were talking about Will Campbell going 4 overall. Yeah, we did hit that. And how 2 years in a row the NFC just beats up on these guys with short arms. So maybe I was wrong about Will, but I think he'll figure it out. And the Patriots obviously were probably there a little earlier than a lot of people would expect. But yeah, I mean, it was an awesome Super Bowl. The halftime show was amazing. So it was fun to see the Seahawks win for the people back home.
Yeah, we've been fortunate to see a couple Super Bowls here between the two of us. And over the last year, we've been doing this for, I think this is year 11 now, 2015.
So it was the 2016 draft, and obviously that was 10 years ago, but this is the 11th mock, the way that it works out, right?
Man.
It is. And typically, like I would say, great mock drafters, get 6 or 7 correct, on the dot, team 2 player or whatever. And our goal, I would say, is to get like 28 or 29 of the first round guys, not actually to the team. But back to that 6 or 7, I think a few times we've gone way over that number. I remember the Dwayne Haskins draft was that. Baker Mayfield, I think, won. Dwayne Haskins, we hit Daniel Jones, A.J. Brown. Like it was that draft was crazy. Devin White, I think. They all kind of go together. The one year that there's been 2 years where like we messed up in like the middle of the first 10 picks. or we would have got like 7 in a row. One come to mind is Jamar over Penei Sewell. I went with Penei for Cincinnati. And then when you went Joe Alt, or you didn't go Joe Alt for LA, was that 2 years ago, I want to say? But I mean, we talked about both the situations, and it is funny how one pick can kind of just mess the rest of the whole board up and stuff. Yeah, without further ado, I guess we'll go to pick one. Eric is on the clock. Mr. Jacob Jr. want to come and see his daddy. But yeah, the Las Vegas Raiders are on the clock. They got new head coach. Obviously, they brought Kirk Cousins in. $10 million he's going to make this year. We were talking before the show that I would love to be his agent. Eric would love to be Kirk Cousins because that man, his contracts ever since the Redskins franchise tagged them, I think twice in a row, correct? Maybe it was just the once, and then he got dealt to Minnesota. Got guaranteed 3 years deal. Yeah, just ridiculous. The weird thing to me, though, about Cousins going to Vegas is he was kind of, surprised 2 years ago when he signed with Atlanta, and then Michael Penix was, drafted number 8 overall. So just kind of I would be interested where Kurt's head is. Is he going to mentor this guy, or did they say he's going to go out there and play so, Fernando doesn't get beat up? Or I don't want to jump and, spoil the pick, but I'll kind of give the floor to you on that one. And as far as the Raiders offseason stuff, obviously they got Tyler Linderbaum from the Ravens. So big bolster to Ashton Dempsey in that offensive line. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so obviously Kubiak should bring some life to the offense. My boy Chip Kelly did not do that last year like I thought he might. But they're returning a decent little crew of offensive players. You mentioned Genty, Brock, who's having a stellar start to his career, adding some weapons on or adding some skill set on the offensive line. I think Kirk had some interesting comments, about, the best quarterback's going to play. It almost seems like his mindset is, he's just checking his bank account and he knows where he's at. He knows his physical limitations. We kind of saw in Atlanta, the legs are gone, the arm is gone. And I think he's slowly fading into that backup role. And, with the first pick, they're going to take Fernando Mendoza, who, interestingly enough, is kind of like this mix of Kirk Cousins and Daniel Jones, kind of with some athleticism, which, doesn't scream first overall pick traditionally. But I think you might hear it from us where, this draft isn't super loaded by any means compared to years past. And the Raiders' new head coach clearly have a need at quarterback. They can't pass up on this pick, so they're going to take Fernando Mendoza with the first pick.
Yeah, I think this was set probably around the national title game. I think they had it pretty locked down that that's what they were going to do. I think they met with this guy like 3 times over Zoom, so they're already in stone the offense and like getting to know the guy. Like, they're definitely talked to him 3 times. They went straight from the owners' meetings to Indiana's pro day to meet with him again, and that was everyone: GM, head coach, assistants. Tom Brady was even there. So I definitely think that it's no surprise what the Raiders are going to do number 1 overall. And I actually like it. Your comp is kind of interesting. I think he has a little cerebral Joe in him. And, I never like to compare players or whatever because they're all their own human being and their own player. But he has a little Joe to him, a little taller than Joe. Kind of a little CJ Stroud, weirdly enough. Like he's sneaky, can kind of move and whatnot. A lot of the early tape I watched, he would go to the first 3. Now, you've seen like the last 7 games, especially in like the playoffs and in the national title game, he's going through all the progressions and he's doing the NFL things. One other note is Clint was under center a lot in Seattle with Sam Darnold. Lots of play action stuff. But Fernando wasn't. He was in shotgun, that spread offense. So that'll be a little different for him. But the kid's smart. He loves football, right? I think he loves football more than anything. So just the character and just the type of human being you're bringing into that building is going to just change that organization overnight, in my opinion. And soon, the next 2-3 years, you'll have all these guys wanting to go to Vegas to play with this kid. So definitely love the pick. Definitely excited for the Raiders. And I know we have a Raider fan in the chat too. So excited for him. But I guess this is really where the draft starts, right? Is pick number 2. Todd McShay has literally gone back and forth
Yeah.
between the 2 edge rushers. There's a timeline that I looked at for like the last 10 days. He just keeps flip flopping. He has connections in New York, but those connections are kind of old and stale because Joe Douglas isn't there anymore, right? You got Doug Morey, I believe it is, from Denver, I want to say, of the new GM. And then you got Aaron Glenn still there, head coach. So who's making that call, right? Is it going to be GM? Is it going to be the head coach? Obviously, the owner's going to have his big say in it. He's going to have the final stamp. But I think to kind of talk this out, if this was a Aaron Glenn pick, I mean, I think it's David Bailey easy, right? This almost reminds me of the Trayvon Walker number 1 overall pick, which you hit, and then I hit Aiden Hutchinson going 2 to Detroit. I mean, David Bailey just seems like that sure thing who's going to be on the edge, and he's going to get you, 8 to 12 sacks a year. He's going to be an all-pro for, 8 to 10 years or whatever the case may be. There has been some character concerns about him, but I think the Jets would be able to figure that out. And Aaron Glenn is a leader of men, and he'd be able to figure that out. But if you're the GM, looking for the future and you don't necessarily need that guy ready to go now. I mean, you kind of look more at the I don't want to call him a project because the kid is just special, but the guy with the higher ceiling, right? More of the Micah Parsons than the Aiden Hutchinson, right? The sure safe thing. Not saying David Bailey's safe, but when it compares these 2 players, that's kind of the word that I keep hearing when it comes to David Bailey. So, I had no idea what I was going to do with this pick for a while. And then with Peter Schrager and everyone just sticking with David Bailey, they have no fucking idea either.
No.
So what I'm going to do, I think from the ownership standpoint and the general manager standpoint, the coach will also get down with this too. But I think that the New York Jets are going to draft linebacker Averill Reese out of Ohio State. Why is he not up here though, Aaron? What do I have to search? See, I should have used a different am I blind or did you not see him either? Oh, there he is.
He should be right up top. Yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah, there we go. Awesome. Beautiful. Awesome.
Yeah.
So
this is an interesting, obviously the sources are what the sources are going to be. And I don't know if the sources even know, what is fact and what's fiction. And I think I got a feeling what we've seen ramp up this week, as we do always during draft week, but particularly in this draft, teams like the Jets, the Cardinals are blowing all kinds of smoke because they want anyone interested in Reese and Bailey and Jeremiah Love, who we'll talk about in a second. They want these teams to be on the phone because I think all these teams kind of want to trade back. Yeah, I like Reese as a player better than Bailey. We can discuss more about Bailey when he goes in a few picks or a pick or so. But yeah, Reese is polished. The one thing you kind of have hesitation, or at least I do, whenever I look at players, particularly from Ohio State, is gosh, the rosters are so stacked, and you have these games where they're playing against these farmers from Iowa and Nebraska, and they look so fast and flashy, and then you kind of think, well, what are they going to do on a team like the Jets, like the Cardinals, where they don't have elite talent, with Downs behind you and Sonny Styles next to you. But Reese is got it. Yeah, he's kind of got that Parsons-esque style of play. Is he gonna drop back? Is he gonna rush? How are you gonna use him? Is he gonna have his hand in the dirt? And like you said, Aaron Glenn, defensive-minded guy. I think he probably looks at him. I think he's a few years younger than David Bailey as well, so you have a little bit more time to kind of mold them how you want. But if you're the Jets and you're coming away with arguably the best player in this draft at number 2, you can't complain too much.
Yeah, going through this whole exercise, I was like, why didn't Ohio State win the national title? This is crazy. I mean, they have 4 guys that can go in the top 15 or whatever the case may be. It's crazy. But yeah, definitely some great points. And then even, I'm sure all of you have heard it, but just the canceled visit was very strange with David Bailey. And I know that met with him a couple times or whatever, but I went back and I couldn't really see a first round a team that canceled a 30-day visit that drafted, that player in the first round. So that was very interesting. Maybe they did their homework and like you said, they were kind of trying to throw off the reporters because I will give the Jets credit. They've been very quiet about this and like they even the local guys don't really know what's going on, which hasn't been the case in recent years with the New York Jets
Right.
franchise. So kudos to them for keeping this pick safe. And I'm sure that some of that comes from the NFL too, because obviously, Fernando's been known to go one overall, so they don't want the Jets to tip two, and that also kind of hurts the trade value too if someone does want to come up here and get Averill Reese. But yeah, the Arizona Cardinals are now on the clock.
Yeah, another interesting week for them. I think I texted you. You wake up Monday morning and already this week it's all of a sudden Jeremiah Love, is getting buzz in the building, and that may be legit, but it kind of seems like some smoke signals because we've heard all offseason they want to get out of this pick. This team needs a ton of talent. They're not going to turn around with one pick. They're kind of in this weird spot at number 3 where they probably don't love a prospect and they just are hoping that someone really, really wants to jump up and grab someone like Jeremiah Love or David Bailey. I'm going to go David Bailey here. I think if they are able to move, if this draft falls 1 and 2, like we've got it, and Bailey's sitting there, I could see maybe a team like the Giants moving up to, like a small price tag kind of move. I don't know if we're going to see a team jump from the mid-teens, or darn near in the 20s. That's not going to happen up to 3.
What about 8 or 9?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, particularly with some of these
9 or 12. 8, 9 or 12
yeah.
is who's calling up. It's the Saints, it's the Chiefs, and it's the Cowboys.
And we've got a lot of teams with 2 picks, so
100%, yeah.
Now,
transparency, if I do go Bailey, like I'm on, like if the Jets go Bailey, I'm literally calling you with one of those teams to come get Arvell Reese to the Cardinals, because like I don't know, and I could be totally wrong, right? Dave Bailey could be the guy someone jumps up to get, but I don't think that happens till like 5 or 6 if he falls. But if Arvell Reese does go to fall to 3, I could see a scenario where the Chiefs go and try and get the edge or whatever, or the Cowboys come up and get their guy, or even the Saints. But yeah.
And I don't know what your thoughts are on Bailey yourself, but I watch him and I don't see a lot of traditional pass rush setup, like hand in the dirt. I see a lot of stand up, and I see a lot of like he wants to dance, he wants to use that spin move, he wants to kind of use speed. I don't see a ton of the power that people think he's got. I know he's got a big frame. I can see him just getting bullied with a long arm tackle that can just get a hold of him. Like I see him struggling unless he truly learns how to get lower. And this is me, the uninformed, YouTube speculator, but I just don't see it, with Bailey in this draft. Maybe a high motor guy, maybe a guy that, really, efforts his way into 8 to 9 sacks, 10 sacks, but I'm not seeing some type of all-pro talent out of David Bailey personally.
Yeah, no, I'm with you too. I think that is kind of a testament to this draft class as a whole, right? He's a solid football player, but he's not that top tier blue chip, edge guy that we're used to seeing up here in the top 3. So I definitely saw that as well too. But I mean, I think he, in the right system, and Arizona has holes everywhere they need to figure out. But the defense is, has some pieces, right? So I think putting him in there with some veterans, I think will be good for them. This is where it gets interesting though with the Tennessee Titans, right? You got new head coach Robert Saleh coming in. You got Brian Daboll coming in, offensive coordinator. Obviously, they had number 1 overall pick last year in Cam Ward. So Jeremiah Love makes a lot of sense here. Brian Daboll had Saquon in New York. Obviously, Saleh had Christian McCaffrey in San Francisco. So they both have, seen a drafted or been on a team that I guess San Francisco did not draft Christian, but you understand what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
They both had an elite, a flashy playmaker running back. who would your Jeremiah Love comp be? Just curious. I just that came to the top of my head. Do you have one? I don't have one. I saw one and I was like, that's interesting.
I don't have a comp. I will say, as a Notre Dame fan, of course, and they've had a number of good running backs come through, and they've had some running backs that have had some flashes in the NFL. Briefly, you've got some guys like Theo Riddick who carved out a good career. Jonas Gray for the Patriots looked like he was going to have a little bit, but man, it's night and day, the talent level between what Jeremiah Love has and that gear versus anyone that's come through, that campus previously. He is a guy that cannot be brought down. Like, Kyron Williams, he's actually probably the best that we've seen to date before Love. And Kyron was similar, where if he's one-on-one with someone in college, he's not getting tackled. And Jeremiah Love was like that on steroids. Plus, he burns you once you get into the open field. Kyron wasn't going to take the top off, and Love is not getting caught. So it was truly special to see. Really, really, a bummer that they didn't make the playoffs and couldn't win it the year before, but it was awesome to be able to see him for a couple years. And yeah, I just think he's going to have a heck of a career in the NFL. Now, we've got some iffy teams here, some iffy rosters, and I hope he doesn't kind of get sucked into purgatory, for a few years. But yeah, obviously, I'll be curious if you have a comp for him, or if you have some.
So I don't necessarily. The comp that I read though was Reggie Bush, and I was like, okay, I could see that, even though Reggie was crazy flashy and stuff.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I could also see that in kind of Jeremiah Love's game too. Is he brothers with Julian?
I don't know. I didn't think so.
Corner. Okay, because didn't Julian Love also go to Notre Dame?
Yes.
Very interesting. Yeah, I popped in my head earlier and I forgot to look it up, so I figured I'd ask you. But yeah, so I mean, what better way to help your rookie quarterback than get a playmaker like Reggie Bush? But what happens is Robert Saleh pounds the table and he's like, no, we're not going with the running back. I want my Fred Warner. Give me Sonny Styles. So Sonny Styles, linebacker, Ohio State. This kid is a freak. And I just think that Robert Saleh, wants to get his, captain, his quarterback on defense, and no one better than Sonny Styles in this draft. So I think, they could go offense here. They could. I think it's too rich for receiver. They could, go with Jeremiah Love and hope Jacob Rodriguez or another linebacker falls to them in the second round. But I think that Sonny Styles is special, and I think that Robert's going to see a lot of Fred Warner in him, and he's going to want him on his defense. So Tennessee Titans trade Sonny Styles. Draft Sonny Styles. Now, I haven't heard this at all, but it wouldn't surprise me if Tennessee is a team that kind of trades back. Yeah, it would be nice to get a blue chip player, whatnot, BPA or whatever the case may be, to help, both sides of the ball. But why not trade back a few? There's a few teams that want to trade up that, are in the back half of the top 10, get a couple more picks and still maybe get one of your guys. But in this case, they stick and pick Sonny Styles.
Yeah, and if you're Tennessee, I'm sure if you're a Tennessee fan base, you're not probably jumping up and down at that pick. Fans tend to, always want to see the skill guys, the offense, and passing on Jeremiah Love is what it is. But also, when you look at the roster, it is the smart thing to do, right? Build it how, you're investing in Robert Saleh. Build it how he wants to build it. Give him a fair shake at this thing. Let him set his defense, and, hope that, Vrabel or Dayball with some of the weapons he has and with a young quarterback with a lot of potential can kind of figure it out. And there'll be opportunities to take running backs. And other skill guys later in this draft. You're picking this high, don't spend it on a running back. Like,
I love Tony Pollard. I know,
yeah.
And I love Tony Pollard. So, and Tajay Spears is still there too. So I don't think that's like a pressing need. Obviously, Jeremiah Love is special, and he's, so I won't knock the pick if that's what they decide to do. But, yeah.
Well, this is where, again, I told myself I had like a threshold for Jeremiah Love, and you hear all the chatter. A lot of people think that either 5 is the cap or 7 is the cap. I think the Giants is a good landing spot. I hate it. I hate him to see him go to the Giants. I worry about Jeremiah Love on that turf in MetLife Stadium. I hate that as well. But if you're the Giants, you're picking at 5. You're also picking at 10. You're going to have a lot of opportunity. I could see them, if this is the board, looking at their board and saying, guys, we need offensive line. Yes. We would love to have Caleb Downs. John Harbaugh loves his playmaking safety. Yes. We've got a couple pass rushers here. We need skills at wide receiver, but we can get all those guys at 10. We can't get Jeremiah Love anywhere else in this draft. And I'm going to have him here at 5 as much as I don't like to write it down.
Sweet. I love it. You get your, 1-year quarterback that you drafted last year. You get him a weapon. And Jackson Dart, Malik Neighbors is going to be hurt. So there's lots of bets that I will be placing on Jeremiah Love early in the season if that is the case, because he's going to get all the dump offs. He's going to get all the work there.
Right.
What they lost Wan'Dale Robinson. I think they still got Darius Slayton. Is that their number 2? Yeah. So I'll leave my Giant thoughts until I get to 10. But yeah, I mean, I love that. I guess for them, not really. I kind of sat for Jeremiah, but the New York fans are going to love him. They're going to buy all his jerseys up. So great player, bad team. But that's how it is, though. When you're in the NFL draft, usually you got these bad teams picking up top. So on to another one in the Cleveland Browns. So yeah, Cleveland is in a situation here where they would love to trade down. They have lots of needs. Probably offensive line or receiver is what I'm thinking. Now I'm trying to think. I feel like Dallas would be a team to come up here and get someone ahead of Washington, but a player that there's a couple players that Dallas is targeting, so I think that they might just stay at 12 actually. So for this exercise, I'm not going to actually trade out. I really do think Cleveland is another team that is going to trade back. I'm going to kind of go off the board, though, I believe. I think I'm going to go offensive line, and let's see. Yeah, this is what I'm going to do. Yeah, I'm going to go offensive lineman, tackle specifically, Alabama, Caden Proctor. Now, this is really high for Caden Proctor. A lot of people will probably push back on this, but I have had and read lots of things that say Caden Proctor is going to go a lot higher than a lot of people think. And I also have an out too if Cleveland does trade out of this pick, into the mid-teens or whatever the case may be. Caden Proctor could be the pick there too. So maybe they'll just stick and pick, and he'll be the first offensive lineman off the board, which would surprise a lot of people. But I think they go out and they protect whoever their franchise quarterback is going to be for the future. They get ready for 2027, and this kid is he's insane, right? He's a little raw, if you would say, but he can play both sides. He can play right tackle, he can play left tackle for you. Just massive human being. So Cleveland always loves to get these Power 5 guys, and I think this is a great fit. And I think we're going to see a lot of these guys come off, right? Eric and I always talk about the boring picks, but you got to have a lot of big sexies on your team to protect your $1 million quarterback. So.
Yeah, and we're keeping massage parlors in business with Caden Proctor protecting Deshaun Watson here. So remember that. And when you look at the linemen available, the consensus was that Maui Noah from Miami was the guy, but then there's some health concerns. You've got Fano from Utah, who they've got the worry of, do you need to kick him in to guard? Can he truly play tackle and handle the NFL, defensive ends? But yeah, I love the pick in Proctor. Again, the Browns are another team that have 2 picks. I almost think that some of these teams with the picks can get a little friskier or a little riskier with some projects. At least that's how maybe the GMs will think. And the Browns need all the help they can get on that offensive line. Browns have a kind of a weird roster, but weirdly competitive too. So they're an interesting team to look out for this year.
Very strange, Ross. And that division is tough, but also very strange as well too. So, yeah.
All right, so now we get to our Commanders, our Redskins, our beloved Washington team, also a bizarre team. So if we remember last year, they entered into the season as the oldest average team in the NFL. Did not work out well for them. A lot of injuries. They were relying on an old Deebo Samuel to give some juice to that offense. If they are sitting here, I think they're pretty happy with how this draft has gone so far. I think at this point, Dan and the front office are looking at, we've got a guy in Caleb Downs who I think they would love to have. They've got some edge guys left. The chatter on receiver has been really, really heavy all week. Before I give my pick, what do you think? What is your gut telling you?
So real quick, Adam Peters, I know the sample size is very small, right? Adam Peters has only been the GM 2 years, right? So the sample size is super small. So to comment on both those things, the average age of the players that he's drafted is the oldest to go along with all the old free agents they bought. But also he loves the RAS score, right? So Caleb isn't going to be like a RAS guy, right? Caleb obviously is an insane football player, great instincts, great team leader, captain, all those things. But he's just not going to have the, the 40 and the jump out the building and all of that stuff. So that's where I push back with them going Caleb. Now, was there further more on that question, or what about the other guys, or what?
No, just curious. The wide receiver talk has been kind of weirding me out again. They're picking at 7, and I don't know how many of these receivers are worthy going 7 here.
The crazy thing is we don't have Jamar Chase. We don't have that guy. And I don't even think that Cornell Tate is receiver 1 off the board. But I think that in this scenario they would go that way. I don't know. It's weird, right? Adam Peters also likes Power 5 guys, so Cornell Tate fits that. This is defense from what I heard, though, right? So I feel like this is a Dan Quinn pick. The source isn't very, whatever big, but this is defense, I think, in the first round. They also want to trade back. Everyone wants to trade back. We always talk about you got to find a dance partner that wants to come up. There's plenty of people that want to come up. I've heard the Saints want to come up, the Chiefs want to come up. Obviously, you're not going to trade with the Cowboys, but this is a tough situation. I think in this situation they're trading out of it though, because there is a few kind of just players that someone's going to come and get before New Orleans does.
Yeah, this is the one I've struggled with the most, I think, all week, or at least in the top 10. I wouldn't be surprised if we kind of get shocked and maybe Delane out of LSU kind of goes here, and you're like, oh, first board.
Yeah, I would hate it, but Mansour Delane is yes.
Now, I'm not going to pick him. I'm going to go with Jaden Daniels in mind. I know the defense. I know Quinn. But if you're this GM, if you're the front office, we've already got the injury concerns. Like, the way you win this division is keeping your quarterback upright. You get back to what made you successful, over the last 10 years here and there with the RG3s and Cousins. Every year they had these good little runs. They had some good offensive line play. I'm going to go Spencer Fano here, offensive tackle, lineman out of Utah. You look at the offensive line now, you're bringing in Tunsil, who you expect to get some, you've got Connolly on the other side, Cosme and Chris Paul. Chris Paul's a little small. He just was playing point guard from. No, that's a bad joke. But Chris Paul's their left guard. I just don't love this offensive line unit from the Commanders right now, and I think you got a guy that gives you some versatility. So whether it's him or another offensive lineman here, I wouldn't hate if I'm the Commanders going here with that pick.
Do you know who? Well, do you remember who their offensive coordinator was last year? Correct.
Kingsbury, right?
Yeah. Do you know who it is now?
No.
Your boy, David Blau.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, the Thanksgiving legend started for the Lions one year. So in my notes for the Redskins, get Jaden help. So yeah, I mean, offensive line help. Yeah, that's good. It's gonna help him. And you're correct. You got to keep him healthy. Keep that franchise quarterback on his feet. Get rid of the ball too, Jaden. Come on. Yeah. So back to Who Dat Nation and the Saints here at number 8. So they found their guy in Tyler Shucka. It sounds like I almost said Spindler Rattler. Oh my gosh! But yeah, they found the guy in Tyler Shuck. And credit to our boy Kellen Moore. I mean, hell of a coaching job. Like, I mean, if you really watch the end of the season last year, like Shuck has no one out there, and like he did solid. That team is atrocious. Like, I feel like 7 through like the next 3, Washington, New Orleans, Kansas City, all those teams are just that have so many holes in their yes, I said Kansas City, so many holes on the roster. So it's almost like best player available, but you also want to kind of help your offensive guy. I think though Mickey like can find a receiver in the second round. I don't think Connell Tate is really like what they want. Now I know they are really big.
He's Chris Olave, right? Tate is.
He's Chris Olave, Michael Thomas. Like it's the same guy, right? Like so they're not gonna unless like they trade Chris Olave, which I don't. Yeah, I think didn't he just get paid or so? I feel like they just extended him, possibly. Yeah, you want him in Philly? I don't think you want him in Philly.
No.
And we'll talk about that later. Oh my gosh, yeah. I'm surprised I didn't open the show with Diana Rossini and Mike Vrabel stuff, but we'll leave that to the 31st pick. But yeah, so like this is where I'm kind of thrown because I think the Saints will go with either player that I don't go with, possibly. Like I said, I think the Saints did a lot of work. They're probably the second most team that work on Jordan Tyson. His workout Friday was good. So I think he could be the first wide receiver off the board. But I have a little birdie down in New Iberia, Louisiana, that told me that Mickey is going to go get a defensive playmaker and he's going to go get that captain of the defense. And I think that the pick here is safety out of Ohio State, Caleb Downs.
Another guy. So you mentioned the RAS, was it Raw Athletic or Real Athletic Score? I actually like that metric. I like those data points. And he's another one that he looks good on film. Good tackler. He's all over the place. Obviously have a great defense. You just get a little nervous that what does he look like when he doesn't have a great front seven and he doesn't have to cover Iowa wide receivers and Michigan State receivers. So, always speculative. Ohio State guys usually turn out to be a little bit better than we expect. So kudos to them and that college. But yeah, that's a good pick there for the Saints. And yeah, even to your point about the coaching job last year, I think Saints fans have a lot to be excited for. Think about what you want with Tyler Shugg, but that team fought their ass off last year in a lot of games down the stretch and were really, really competitive and gave a lot of teams some fits and won a lot of ball games. So I think New Orleans has something to be pretty excited for.
I mean, there's not 32 NFL starting quarterbacks in the league, and I mean, he might be one of them, and he's on a cheap rookie deal. So yeah, you got 4 years to figure it out, Mickey, or 3 now, but yeah.
All
And
right.
I've got the Kansas City Chiefs. So I was thinking like 2 weeks ago, like this, like as a Bengals fan, I'm like, dang, this sucks. Like this is not the draft that I want to have a top 10 pick. Like why couldn't have been like next year, or like whatever the case may be. But we traded out of there. So now I'm happy. You know, Kansas City's 9. They usually are in this spot. I think they could be in this spot again. People don't think they will because they have Patrick Mahomes and this and that. But I mean, there's lots of holes on this team. Like the receivers can't stay out of trouble, can't stay healthy. You got an aging Travis Kelsey. That defense is old and needs some help. You know, Steve can only figure out so much stuff on defense to trick him. But this Chiefs defense is bad. He also needs some help on the offensive line. I know they signed Kenneth Walker, but what are y'all gonna do here, Mr. Eric?
Well, I mean, you didn't mention that the Chiefs have the deepest quarterback room in the league with the addition of our boy Justin Fields. Um,
Oh my gosh, yes,
get
that was
ready,
yes.
get ready for some fun Andy Reid wacky RPO throwback, whatever. Yeah,
Definitely playing him in preseason basketball or preseason fantasy. Like what in the world?
yeah, Chiefs are definitely a weird roster, aging roster. Good coaching staff. So, you kind of trust, that between having Mahomes and having a good coaching staff that, any season is not a lost season, but they do have some holes here. I think if the draft shakes out this way, they would be pretty happy. I'm not going to have them going receiver here. I'm going to have them going with Ruben Bain, defensive end out of Miami. So watching Ruben, the only player I could really think of, and this might not sound like an awesome comp at the 9th pick, but was kind of drafted in a similar spot. He reminds me of Brandon Graham, who redrafted in Philadelphia. He just thick build, not like the most explosive guy ever, but I feel like he's a guy you can move inside and have him rush over a guard or a center. He can go outside. He's just really tough to handle. He doesn't do anything amazing from what I'm looking at, but just a really good like anchor piece to the defensive line, and he's going to be next to guys like Karlaftis and, I know Chris Jones is getting up there in age, but can still play. I just think it's a good high floor pick for a Chiefs team that really can't miss, and your Mahomes window is not getting any bigger. You want some can't miss players. I think adding him to this defense is a high floor addition.
Yeah, I mean that's solid. He's like the Black George Kalafis, but like the Brandon Graham comparison to, yeah, I think that is a solid pick. I think he also was rumored to go to the Saints. I just don't think that Ruben Bain is the defensive end that make you drafts or whatever. But I definitely could see Kansas City going there, and I love that pick. And I'm just thankful that. Oh, we still have 11, so we'll see what happens there. But I'm thankful that you didn't pick the one of the guys that I was going to get for the Giants. There is a few falling though, which makes it interesting for me because Francis Mauigoa. I don't like to mess this up too bad. Where he could go 3 to Arizona or wherever Arizona backs out of, right? I don't think he'd go to Cleveland at 6 or wherever they back out of. I do think that 10 though could almost be his floor. We went with Jeremiah Love at 5, correct?
Yep.
Yeah, so I mean, what a way to start off this this new regime or whatever with John Harbaugh in New York, getting 2 guys to help out your second year quarterback in Jackson Dart. John Harbaugh hasn't drafted in the top 10 since his first draft in Baltimore.
That sounds right.
Crazy.
Yeah.
And now he gets 2 picks in New York. I definitely think they wanted one of possibly the Ohio State defenders, right? Caleb Downs or Sonny Styles. But we went with the, Jeremiah Love at 5. You know what? I've heard so much about the Giants loving this guy. I've talked about him a lot, I think already, but I think they're going to find another weapon for Jackson Dart. It could have been an offensive lineman, but I'm going to go Jordan Tyson, wide receiver, Arizona State. Lots of rumblings coming out of New Orleans and New York. They like this kid. They're not worried about the medicals. They've done their work. So this is the George Pickens of the draft, right? He huge upside. The kid is just hurt. I think he's only played like 17 games, but he can play all over the field. I'm pretty sure he had 8 touchdowns outside, 8 touchdowns in the slot, so you can play him all over. Malik Neighbors, like we kind of spoke about, is going to be out. Probably not going to be, start the season off. They lost Wandale Robinson. Darius Slayton is their receiver. You got Cam Scatterboo hurt as well too. So get Jackson Dart some weapons, and this team is actually going to be fun. First free futures bet I'll give out is the New York Giants are going to win the NFC East. I know my wife and Eric hate me for that, but it just lines up almost perfect. It's like the Joe Burrow second year when Jamar got there. I don't know. And John Harbaugh is different. He's going to bring in all his guys, and obviously you saw him get rid of Dexter Lawrence, who wasn't on board with the plan. So I may be a little early on that. It's plus 700. So just yell at me at the end of the season. Just go throw some lunch money on it, right?
I hate to admit. I hate to admit,
I love this fucking draft for the Giants. Go ahead.
I don't. Obviously, I hate the Giants just in my soul, and my core. And I do think he is a reckless individual that if he doesn't learn how to play within the game, he will get hurt and continue to get hurt. But Jackson Dart's got some juice, brother. And it pisses me off because I look at him, I'm like, damn, he's almost like what I want Jalen Hurts to be sometimes. But yeah, I don't hate that. Like everything you mentioned, second-year guy. They've got a whole new regime. They should have a new renewed energy. You hit on these 2 picks, bringing some explosive playmakers to build around that team. Why not?
Yeah. I don't know if I want my quarterback being like Jackson Dart, Eric. That was a little much. Like I like it, but like let's not go like Tua. Like okay. But speaking of Tua Tagovailoa, the Tua Tagovailoa movie is over in Miami. Him and Mike McDonald, which I'm pretty sure we called that one too. Are out of Miami. Mike is in LA with the Chargers, and Tua is down in Atlanta or up in Atlanta, I guess. So yeah, the Dolphins, just like the Chiefs and the Saints and the teams form plenty of holes. I think this team is probably the favorite to have the number 1 pick next year. But yeah, there's some solid players on the board for them. What are the Dolphins going to do here at 11?
So before I even discuss the pick, you look at this roster and you look at what they've done this offseason. This wide receiver room is just amazing to look at.
Jalen Tolbert, Malik Washington,
Tutu Atwell, Terrace Marshall.
Yes.
Come on.
Those are like best ball, like round 15 guys from like 2020. Like, oh my gosh.
And it's confusing. And Devon A-Chain, who is one of my favorite players in the league. God bless. I love him so much. Why they were so firm on keeping him, knowing that they are going into a rebuilding, not only year, it could be a rebuilding 2 to 3 years, is a little bit confusing. Why not sell him at the absolute peak of his market value is a little bizarre to me. But with this pick, again, this is a roster that they should be looking at best player available. I'm going to have them not going much further than the building and taking a guy you just spoke about.
Thank you.
And taking let's make sure we get the pronunciation right.
CC?
Maui Noah. I had to get some pronunciation guides for a couple of these players. I'm like, I want to make sure I say it right. Maui Noah, again, probably the best tackle in the draft. Some health concerns that I'm not just qualified to speak on.
Doesn't
really
he
at
also
all,
have short arms? Does he have short arms too? like
Oh, no,
32
I
or
don't think
30.
to the degree of Fano, but I think we had a little bit of that going on.
Hey, and I'm a bit Malik Willis, right? That's the quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm a big Malik Willis fan too. So go ahead and protect that guy. It was very strange that they did not. How do we pronounce that man's last name? Is Achon, Achane? Because he came out and said the correct way to pronounce it. I always got it wrong either way. But yeah,
Well,
I do
no.
like
I think aren't you're thinking of Travis Etienne, who told us his name is pronounced A Chain,
correct.
and we were all like, "What the hell's
Oh, okay, yeah, I do remember that as well too. But yes, yes. Um, yeah, I love that pick for the Dolphins. Maui Noah.
I don't know."
Yep. And why do they call him CC? Francis. I heard everyone call him CC, but yeah, it is what it is. Um, another big sexy. We're gonna have lots of these offensive linemen. I think the line is like 9.5 offensive linemen. I put a poll in the chat if y'all want to go ahead and participate in that. That'd be awesome. I think I'm definitely taking the over 9, but I think the juice is gone. I think it's like minus 200, minus 300 now. But here we go with Eric's favorite team, the Dallas
How about them?
Cowboys. This is their first of their two selections in the first round. Lots of chatter, let's say 2, 3 weeks ago about them trading up. I think it's for one of the three Ohio State guys, whether that be David Bailey go 2 and they go up to 3 with Arizona and get Arvell Reese, or whether that be they go to 6 with the Browns and get ahead of Washington and get Sonny Styles. Or maybe it didn't happen in this draft, but maybe Caleb Downs falls to them here at 12. I think they would love it, any three of those guys. But since the board has fallen this way, I think they're going to stick with defense, even though I feel like Jerry Jones would love to just draft Carnell Tate and just be like, yeah, just come and stop us. Like we're gonna score 50. We're gonna be the NFC version of the Cincinnati Bengals and just come and stop us. But I definitely think that they're gonna go defense here, and the drop off from this position to the second rated player in this position is massive. It might be one of the biggest ones when it comes to this draft, but and I love this actually. I probably will have to get this jersey.
I
Out
already know
of
where you're going.
the Louisiana State University, Mansour Delane. I didn't expect him to be here at 12, but just the way that this has gone, does make a lot of sense. Feels a massive need. Obviously, we all know the Cowboys couldn't stop a nosebleed last year, so they get someone who's very versatile. He could play man, he could play zone. He actually was at Virginia Tech for a couple years. Then he went to LSU last year. So um, definitely love the pick here for Dallas. I'm gonna kind of just recap, go for the first 12, what we have done so far. So with the chalk, the Raiders go Fernando Mendoza. Then the Jets go Arvell Reese. Arizona goes David Bailey. Tennessee, Sonny Styles. New York Giants go Jeremiah Love, number 5 overall. Cleveland goes Caden Proctor, big surprise. First one of the big surprise of the draft. Then Spencer Fano comes off the board to Washington. Caleb Downs to New Orleans. Ruben Bain to Kansas City. We got Jordan Tyson to the New York Football Giants. So definitely Jackson Dart is going to be a happy boy come Thursday night, Friday morning. CC Noah to the Miami Dolphins. He stays close to home. And then we got the Dallas Cowboys, Mansour Delane. So next is the James Pierce Jr. pick, which the Falcons traded up for last year with the Los Angeles Rams. So the Rams here have they only have one pick because they shipped off their pick for Trent McDuffie. So I've seen lots of chalk here. It's 1 or 2 players. I hope we kind of go off the board, but I mean, it's your pick, Eric. So what are the Rams going to do?
Well, we need to check in on our boy Puka, who's biting people and is in some type of mysterious rehab situation. Not trying to joke too much about it. Obviously, hope that he gets whatever help he needs. It's been a weird news cycle. Like you have someone that's the number 1 through number 5, wherever you want to put him, whether it's production or just talent, receiver in the NFL, and he's checking into rehab and he's having these issues, and it's kind of like you don't hear about it. It was when it broke, it was kind of silent, and no one really knew, like, is this fake? Is this a troll? Is it real? But it is real. So that situation, again, I don't want to make light about it. Like, I hope he gets some help. But it seems very strange. I don't know if you know any more about it than I do, Jacob.
I don't. No, I do not. No, I've been digging into the Brissini and Vrabel stuff. I let the Kuka stuff go. So,
well, so nonetheless, this is probably the final hoorah for our boy Stafford, right? And there's a lot of talk about, is McVay going to ride off in the sunset with Stafford, and is he going to go into the booth? Is he going to what's his next step? Adams is aging. All of the smoke here points towards receiver. I'm not going to differ off of that and overthink it. Now, what I am not trying to overthink, but I was kind of had penciled in Mekhi.
Holy shit! Sorry. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
No,
I still on the board.
I penciled in Mekhi Lemon here, LA guy, speedster, explosion. But we have Carnell Tate sitting on the board right now, Jacob. And whether it's the Rams or whether we just need to take him to get him off the board at this point for the sake of the draft, we're going to go Carnell Tate here.
Yeah, and the reason I freaked out is because, I looked up, I'm like, oh, Carnell Tate is still on the board. The chalk I was speaking of was Malachi Lemon. Like, everyone is mocking him there. But I heard today that LA because Carnell Tate isn't everyone's cup of tea, like we've said. Like, that's not their flavor of ice cream or whatever. But the Rams, doesn't that seem Carnell Tate, Sean McVay, Matthew Stafford, he just probably would look good in that blue and green too, or that blue and yellow. But so I love that pick for the Rams. Definitely not for that division. That they're definitely going to probably be the favorite coming out of this draft. As far as the Super Bowl champs, I don't know if this is Stafford's last hoorah. We'll kind of see how it goes. It's funny. I remember doing the preview show with you last year, and I was higher on the Rams. You were higher on the Seahawks, and the whole weird back thing kind of came out about Stafford. But I mean, I didn't see nothing wrong with his back last year. So definitely get him a weapon. If it's not receiver, though, I would think it could be trenches. Whether that be offensive lineman to help protect, or that would just be the Rams getting ahead of free agents in contracts. That's how Les Snead works up there. And they drafted the defensive linemen very well the last few years, but those guys are going to want their money. They're not going to be able to keep them all. So I could see them, maybe trading back and getting a defensive end, or if someone falls here. But the way the board fell is perfect. Carnell Tate kind of fills that need for whoever the quarterback may be in a year or two. And he also helps, them win now too. So a great pick for the Rams. I'm sure they would not use the 8 minutes. They would run that card up. But now we got the Baltimore Ravens, who have also seen a lot of shock. Kenyon Sadiq, because they lost Isaiah Likely. He went to the Giants. Dang, Jackson Dart got a whole. But didn't Isaiah Likely go to New York? I think so. Yeah, he did. Yeah, Jackson Dart, man. If this draft, holy cow! And you got your tight end too. But yeah, so I've seen the Ravens mock Kenyon Sadiq a whole bunch here. I don't like it necessarily. I know Mark Andrews is aging, but they did just pay him, and they do like to run a lot of 12 personnel, a lot of 2 tight end sets. But I'm going to kind of go away from that. And I'm going to go more of the guy that just looks like the Raven to me, and just feels like he could be a Raven. They've lost a lot of big bodies in the middle of that offensive line. So there's some holes there. So we're going to go offensive lineman Vega Iona out of Penn State. Doesn't he just seem like a Raven to you?
Yes. Yeah, I feel like Penn State guys, and I was funny you said that. I forgot to mention it when you picked the lane for the Cowboys. I'm like, LSU corners and Cowboys just seem to be a good match. Same thing with like Penn State. Penn State guys and Ravens for some reason I feel like are a good match.
Yeah, for sure. You got to protect Lamar, and then this will also help their aging old running back in Derrick Henry. So um, it's going to be interesting what happens with the tight end though, because I'm not a big. I mean, he's straight line speed is fun, and there's some flashy plays, but he's not Brock or Kyle Pitts in my opinion. But we'll see.
Yeah, I looked up. This was a fun pronunciation. Last name, I think it's Ioane, but then I've heard Mel say it. Ioane, not a Y. We'll never know. This is gonna be one where we say it one way, and then 5 years into his career, it's like actually it's been said this way.
But like the first like 2/3 is all silent, right? Don't they just go Vega?
Yes, yeah, because it's a really really long first name. Yeah. All right. Yeah, the Ravens. That's an interesting team as well. Obviously, you've got an all-world talent in Lamar Jackson, so you expect to compete every year. They've transitioned from Harbaugh to was it Kevin Minter? They're the defensive coordinator, Jesse Minter. That is here. I'm sure the Ravens fans would have loved for McDonald, the previous defensive coordinator, to be their head coach, but he's winning Super Bowls in Seattle, so they'll have to settle for Minter here. Yeah, interesting season for them.
For sure, and this is almost like it's an interesting season for Lamar as well too, right? Like if this season doesn't go well, do they just blow everything up and Jesse kind of get his own guide, his own thing going? Or, I mean, when you have a transcendent athlete and player like Lamar Jackson, I don't think that's the way you go. But they've tried this experiment out for how many years now, Eric? Right? So, very interesting what the Ravens do. And like we talk about, that division is up for grabs for all four of those teams. Really could win it if Pittsburgh figures out what they're going to do about quarterback. But yeah, Ozzie and company in Baltimore are always like the best player available. And I could see, to be honest with you, I could see I only go into New York at 10. Like the way the board falls. Like if these offensive linemen go even sooner than we expect, like I could see them going there. So, yeah.
All right.
Tampa Bay Bucks.
Another weird team. This team was like 2 years away from. I think they ended up getting bounced by the Commanders. Wasn't that the Jaden Daniels team? They beat the Falcons. They get bounced. They had this good Baker resurgence. Then last year, it kind of they're flirting with the playoffs in the division. End up not winning the division. Or did they ended up winning the final week versus the Panthers, or they didn't make the play, or whatever.
No, Carolina made them won the division last year. Yeah,
right. Now we've got a Godwin exit, or not Godwin, Evans exit, Godwin back, but hurt. You've got Ibuka, who is this started off. He was going to be the star of the league, and then kind of had that like rookie second half wall. They're a team that could go all over the place. I'm having kind of a tough time here with them. I am going to just kind of in these moments, I'm like, just be smart. You've got a big boy out of Georgia who can block, and in Monroe Freeling. I think you look at the offensive line here. Wirfs is on that left side, but I think they'd love to just have some bookends here for Baker to get a final year or two out of him. We're going Monroe Freeling here for the Bucs.
Yeah, I love that. I think it's trenches for sure. They could also go the tight end and kind of like, they just paid Cade, but play two tight end sets, and Kenyon Sadiq is a little different kind of prototype than Cade Otton. He could actually maybe fill in some of that Mike Evans targets and stuff. But I love getting the offensive lineman, another big sexy to protect your franchise quarterback. So yeah, this fun pick there. I could see edge as well too, right? Keldrick Falk or maybe Akeem Messidor. But yeah, I definitely like that pick for the Bucks. Now we got the Jets coming up with their second pick in the first round. Let's kind of go back. Who did this was number 2, right? This is this was definitely Reese. Okay, cool. So The New York Jets, the way this has kind of fallen, kind of like, I'm glad that you didn't go with this player earlier to the chalk. Now, this is also kind of getting chalky, right? So if Makai Lemon doesn't go to LA, I see him going to New York. This is a strange individual, but it is what it is. I think he'll have fun in New York with that media. Then you have Garrett Wilson, but you need another body, another weapon on offense for whoever your quarterback of the future is. So I think I'm going to go Makai Lemon, receiver, USC. Heard some comps to Amon-Ra St. Brown. I don't like that just because they're small-bodied receivers that went to South or Southern Florida or Southern California. Doesn't quite line up with me. I actually don't have a first grade on this kid, but it is what it is. I only have maybe 11 or 12 first grades. So yeah, I'm gonna go Makai Lemon, receiver to the Jets. And the Detroit Lions are now on the clock.
Well, so before we get to, I was going to ask with the Jets, what is the plan? Like, is there a chance
I don't know.
they surprise us and they take? We assume there may be some trades here, but is a guy like Ty Simpson in play at 16? Do they like?
No, because they have three first round picks next year, so they're just gonna
just tank again.
They're just gonna hope. But they do this every year, though, Eric. Remember last year? Like, oh, yeah, wait till next year. Like, Cam Ward's on it. Just wait until Arch and all them boys come out. And remember Drew Aller? I mean, Drew Aller was supposed to be in this draft. Like, we're supposed to be talking about that kid today. Even Garrett Nussmeier. I mean, so.
Very strange. Like, it's like I would hate – like I like when the Jets lose. It's funny. And Jets fans are funny. But there comes a point where – if I'm a Jets fan, I'm strongly reconsidering stopping being a football fan if I have to deal with any more. And now that you bring in Geno Smith, who's the first round pick, Genie, or the first overall pick, Genie here, helped the Raiders get it, and now he's going to help the Jets get it.
Yeah, I don't know if I don't know if their fans are just like loyal or they're just dumb. Like it's just because like Cowboys fans are just loyal. They might be a little dumb, but Jets fans are just slow. Like it's really bad. Like because they legit think they have a chance. Like I don't know about this year, but like the last four, like they were like legit thought they had a chance. And I know they had Rodgers and all that, but yeah, it's funny that we're going to go off on a tangent. But I was thinking the other day, like what city is the worst sports city? I was like, well, it can't be New York because you have like the Knicks or the Yankees. But like, what if you're like a Jets and Mets fan? Like that's terrible.
Oh, I mean, I don't know. Have the Mets still not won a game yet? Where are we at on Mets tank watch?
I don't know. I don't bet baseball, but I bet them not to make the playoffs because it's like.
Jeez. All right.
What's crazy is it was the same as like the Kansas City line. It was only like plus 270. So I was like, oh, maybe the book like kind of thinks this is gonna happen too. All right. Back to the mock draft. We got your Detroit Lions here at 17. It's another kind of weird one. I feel like it's trenches, huh?
Yes, and I think if you're the Lions, you would have hoped that a guy like Freeling, Proctor, maybe Mawanoa Falls, Free Falls, who knows? You would have probably hoped that one of the big boys in that kind of
Blake Miller is like the ultimate Detroit Lion, no?
I just don't know.
This is a little rich.
You take him at 17 now. I think you also look at the other side of the ball, and man, you have so many games and so many plays that we watch Hutchinson get double teamed because they don't have anyone else on the defensive line. And it's nice when you have a guy like a Hutchinson or a Garrett, and that's great and all, but also we've seen like teams can adjust when they don't have to worry about the interior, they don't have to worry about the other edge guy, and it really takes away from the potential. So I think this is an opportunity to help out that defense big time. I'm going to go, again, another big boy here, Keldrick Falk, Auburn kid. again, man, this defense, Hutchinson, Aleem McNeil, who's off and on healthy, DJ Wanham, like you can't go into next season hoping to compete with the defensive line that's that devoid of talent. So I'm gonna bolster the Lions defense here.
Yeah, I love that. Trenches, when I said that, I meant both sides too. So definitely, you gotta get some help for Aiden Hudson on that defensive line. So I could even see Keldrick going to Dallas at what was it, 12 or whatever, if the board kind of falls weird. Maybe not 12, but I could see them also wanting him. But yeah, so Detroit gets a edge out of Auburn. I love that. Now here is probably the most chalk pick that I've seen, even more chalky than the tight end to Baltimore. This is the safety to Minnesota and Dylan Thieneman. Yep. Brian Flores, is probably going to lose Harrison Smith. Maybe not this year. He hasn't announced his retirement, which is kind of strange. But I think Dylan Thieneman would be the perfect replacement for, Harrison Smith, your boy out of Notre Dame, who I feel like you always, or maybe you have said before, like, what's so good about him? He's just like Mr. Consistency, like never does anything special, right? You're always like, what's so flashy about him? But he's just always out there. I guess the best ability is availability, and he's pretty available, for them or whatnot. But I don't know. This one's tough. I wish Ryan in the chat, or not Ryan, but one of my other buddies is usually in the chat. He's a Minnesota Vikings fan. Robbie, he's not here though. Do you have any NFC North intel coming from Vikings camp, or anything that you would like kind of lean here? You asked me about the Redskins, so I'll ask you about the Vikings. Eric,
if you're asking me, yeah. I'm totally out on the Vikings there. I'm more, we're using the word interesting and interested a lot, I feel like, in this draft, but we truly do have a lot of these teams, the only thing I can think about when the Vikings, it's like, what's their game plan? You bring in Kyler Murray, hand up, man, is one of those quarterbacks. I can't quit, dude. I don't care how much Xbox he plays in November. I don't care how bad of a leader he is. Like, I love Kyler Murray so much for no reason at all. I just think he's got the juice, and he's kept the Cardinals in purgatory for a long time. That's his fault. But like, something still gets me excited about Kyler Murray's little ass just running around, and he's got such, I don't know, man. I'm getting excited just talking about it. And then you got JJ McCarthy. You get JJ McCarthy, who you drafted in the first round, and you don't know if really he can play. So it's like, what the heck are the Vikings doing? Meanwhile, they have to sit there in February and watch Sam Darnold win the Super Bowl, which just is like a chef's kiss on the whole organization. So that's all I can really think about. I have no intel. I just think it's hilarious.
Yeah, that is hilarious. And it's so funny that you're a Kyler Murray guy too. Like, that's just hilarious to me. I don't like the kid, but he should have played baseball, but it's fine. So I think, speaking of Kyler Murray and that Kevin O'Connell and that offense, I think they're going to get him, TJ Hawkinson, project kind of worked here and there, whatever the case may be. But I think they're going to get another weapon to go along on that offense. I think they're going to go Kenyon Sadiq. Now, this might be a surprise to some. Tight end isn't necessarily a need for the Vikings here. I would have loved to have gone Dylan Thielemann. But I'm going to go with the other Oregon kid and go Kenyon Sadiq to the Minnesota Vikings. Just give Kyler, no excuses. So you can have Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison out there, Kenyon Sadiq. Carolina Panthers, 19.
So Sadiq was someone who was eyeballing for Carolina. Now, do they get frisky and want to go back-to-back offensive skill guys? McMillan obviously goes. Last year, did he win? Was he in the running or won Offensive Rookie of the Year?
Yeah, he was Offensive Rookie of the Year. Yeah,
great season out of him. All things
should have been shoved.
Yeah, probably. They do have some additions. They brought in at a heavy price tag Jalen Phillips over from Philadelphia.
The two things they wanted was an edge and a center fielder.
Yeah. But I think here, You just talked about him a bunch. I'm not going to talk about him anymore, but the other Oregon kid's going to go right here with Dylan Thieneman right here.
Yeah. I think these picks could be flip-flopped. Like you were saying, I think they could also go with the tight end. Carolina and Minnesota could actually go with the chalk. So yeah, I love that we did it like that. Here's Dallas again up at 20. This is also interesting. I feel like we went with Mansour Delaney, correct?
Yep.
So, and real quick, I gotta ask, you're writing all these down, right? With pencil and paper?
Come on, brother.
Look at that.
We need
tradition.
The
A tradition like no other. No, I do have to ask. I was thinking the other day. Do you like save these? Or you throw it away after you.
No, I think I've got them stored somewhere, and I've obviously got them on the. I've got a nice little folder in my pictures for them on my phone, so we're good. Man.
That is so awesome. I love that. I feel like I'm only missing 2, which is like 18 and 19, I think, or 17 and 18. I don't remember. Yeah, it's 17 and 18 that I don't have. That's so funny, Eric. But yeah, so Dallas, we went to the corner here. I think this could be defense. Both picks. I think that's actually probably the likelihood of what they're gonna do. Now, man, I really want to get this one right. I want to get both of them right, but I really want to get their second pick right because I feel like it's harder to get these ones that we go further down the board correct, right? So, I think it is going to be defense. I feel like it could be edge. Which edge is it going to be is the question, right? I love Akeem Messador, high mortar guy. I think that's probably where I'm going to end up. You went with Keldrick Falk already. There is another name. Yeah, see, this is the thing because real quick on the Cowboys, I found a nugget out about Christian Parker, correct? You should be familiar with him, right? It was quality controls coach in Philly. Or some sort of defense assistant. Do you know where he's from?
I don't.
He's from Glen Allen, Virginia, Eric.
No way.
He went to Richmond, Virginia, or Richmond University. Yes, sir.
Look at that.
I just found that out today.
Yeah, he was the defensive backs coach.
Okay.
And kind of like that quality control, like assistant defensive coordinator. Yep.
And the funny thing about that is when Dallas, signed him or whatever the case may be, I remember your fans on Twitter were like, "Oh, y'all come and get our sloppy seconds. All you want are coaches." But didn't y'all come and get Kellen Moore first?
Yep.
Like they forget about that part, don't they?
Yep.
But anyway, to kind of bring it back, one of the defensive line assistants for Christian Parker, new defensive coordinator in Dallas, actually coached this kid at the University of Central Florida, Malachi Lawrence, right? So we're going to go edge. University of Central Florida, Malachi Lawrence. Now, I'll put a caveat on this, right? If it's not Delane at 12, then I really think 20 is going to be corner Chris Johnson. I don't know why. I just think that's who it's going to be. So they come out with 2 great plays here, and Malachi Lawrence get an edge to kind of, I'm not going to say replace Micah Parsons, right? But you can never have enough guys on the defensive line or offensive line. But yeah, Chris Johnson would have been the pick here if we didn't go with the corner in the first selection for the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, you could always double dip in the secondary. I'd rather be like safety and corner, but definitely trying to help this Cowboys defense out. So now we are on to the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Pittsburgh Steelers, who belong in the camp of like the Cardinals and Jets of what
the fuck are we doing?
What's the plan for the quarterback situation? Because you cannot look your fan base in the eyes and say, we believe in Mason Rudolph in 2026. You can't do that. And I again, this is a spot like, are all these teams maybe smartly just saying this is not the draft? We're not going to force ourselves to take a Ty Simpson or something if we don't have to because, it's going to be what it just seems so. This is one of the stranger drafts and stranger quarterback room drafts with all these teams that need quarterbacks and no one's talking about quarterbacks. Very weird. Is it a run on day 2? And a lot of these teams maybe take a flyer, and if it works, it works, and then we just revisit it next year. That kind of seems like,
But there's never any second or third round. Like, it just doesn't work that way. I mean, I know Russell was. I'm sure there's some, but like, you draft them in the first
there's a
round.
Super Bowl winner in Philadelphia who was a second pick.
He was, yeah, damn. But you draft him in the first round to get that 5th-year option, and I don't know, and like, you go get your guy, I guess, right? It's like, if you like Garrett Nussmeier, like, you go and get your guy. Or Ty Simpson is who Dan Orlovsky has been trying. I think they have the same agent. That's probably why. But if Ty Simpson really is, like, you go and get him. You don't wait until day 2. Yeah. So, what's even crazier to me about the Pittsburgh thing is, like, no one's talking about it. Like, why are we not talking about it? Or are they just sick of it the last 2 years? Like, and just gonna wait it out? Because he said he wasn't gonna do this, right? Like, we're literally like less than 24 hours away, and he said he wasn't gonna do this.
Yeah, I mean, we got teams reporting for voluntary workouts, and the season it's not upon us, but it's upon us.
Yeah.
Um, and I don't think we even mentioned, Mike McCarthy, your boy.
Yeah.
Is in
Exactly. You bring in the pink Mike Tomlin. Like, this is the same guy, right?
Yeah.
The offensive version of Mike Tomlin is Mike McCarthy.
I don't hate that.
I mean, the Mike McCarthy won his rings because of Aaron, and he won 13 games because of Dakota. It wasn't the other way around. I don't know.
So this pick here, this is again like total shot in the dark. I am making this pick. It is a need here, but just something in my gut. Like, this is kind of the range where he could be picked. He may, in a normal draft that was a little bit more, a little bit deeper, he probably wouldn't be as high. But something about Peter Woods, defensive lineman out of Clemson, just seems to go here. The Steelers, for whatever reason, feel like they're always the team in the first round that doesn't take the chalky guy. They don't take the guy that's, on the Mel's best available.
Hold on 1 second. That's not true, Eric, because Najee Harris, I told you to go with him last time. Joey Porter Jr., I told you to go with it. No, I'm playing. No, you're right.
Najee Harris, geez Louise.
No, Peter Woods actually does look like a Pittsburgh Steeler. So, yeah, I like that. And it's hard to find these big guys. So, I actually, way back when, he was supposed to be a top 5 pick. So, definitely like that for the Steelers. Definitely a weird team, like the whole Mike McCarthy hiring, and I thought they should have went younger. I don't. The Aaron Rodgers saga. They trade for Michael Pittman. Like, it's after they traded George Pickens. Like, I really don't get it. Sweet. So now we're up to our favorite team, or another favorite team, with our favorite quarterback, Justin Herbert, and the Los Angeles Chargers.
Your boy. Put some respect on his name.
Yeah, my boy. Yeah.
It's been your boy.
It's been my boy. It's funny how the Bengals and Joe Burrow get all this hate, but what has Justin Herbert done? Like, has he won a playoff game? I don't. Maybe one. I don't think he has, but
he did. He blew a 30 or 28-point lead right to the Jags, and then he lost to the Texans last year. I don't know if he has.
Yeah, he has not. He has not won a playoff game. But yeah, so the Chargers here. This is definitely a trenches pick. The theme, right? Big sexies. What side of the ball is it though, right? Obviously they had lots of injuries to the offensive line last year with Rashawn Slater, Joe Alt getting hurt. That defensive line also is getting older and stuff. So I think that it's definitely offensive line or defensive line pick here. The only problem is I think we've kind of gone through most of our offensive linemen. Caleb Lomo actually makes a lot of sense to me because you can kind of put him wherever. He could play inside, and then if you needed to push him out, you can if one of those tackles gets hurt. Also, aforementioned Blake Miller, it wouldn't be a bad idea as well, too. Dang, man, this comes down to 2 people for me. And what do the Chargers do? I think last year, just it was 2 months of seeing those offensive line be their Achilles heel, right? I mean, the Chargers were good. I actually had a couple of futures on the Chargers. But it's, I wouldn't say make or break for Justin Herbert, but I think you got to protect him. And you're going to go Caleb Lomu, offensive tackle out of Utah here for the Chargers.
Yeah, and that's just like a no nonsense Jim Harbaugh pick as well. He's going to establish the run. He's going to control the clock. He's going to protect his guys, and right that I think I had some good expectations for the Chargers because of the Harbaugh thing. They have had somewhat of a quiet offseason. I don't feel like we've heard a lot from the Chargers. Sometimes that's a good thing. Sometimes, if a team recognizes that guys are getting overpaid and it's not a strong free agent class and they're kind of sitting back, maybe it ends up working out. But it is peculiar that we haven't heard a lot from the Chargers, who are kind of a team like that. That Herbert contract's running out of time before he's going to want to get paid. So you would think they're kind of be more all in with some firepower, but who knows?
Yeah, I mean, I love the running back of Martin Hampton last year, but it is very weird that it's been quiet. I mean, maybe that is a good thing. Maybe they'll kind of be the quiet dark horse to come out of the AFC West. Now your real favorite team. Don't mess this one up, Eric. No pressure. So do we need to talk about the elephant in the room?
No. Has there been any offseason drama with the Eagles, or has anything been going on, or has everything been cool in their wide receiver room?
When did you realize that AJ Brown was going to be a New England Patriot?
I think when Diana Rossini ordered the eggs Benedict with Rabel at breakfast, I think that was a pretty good.
I was on it like 2 weeks after the trade deadline. I was like, there's no way they're moving this guy until post-June of next year. So he's not getting traded.
Yeah.
The Patriots wanted T. Higgins. Like, they don't have a receiver. Mike Vrabel coached him in Tennessee. It just lined up perfectly. Just crazy. So it's receiver here, right? Or is the Tavian Wicks the answer?
Hey, not only is Dontavian Wicks the answer, Elijah Moore, Hollywood Brown, baby. I mean, best receiver room in
the NFC East.
In the
maybe
no. I am praying to God that they do not just take and reach for a. I mean, I don't know if he's your boy from Washington. Like, I know Denzel Boston's been getting a lot of love. I don't want Denzel Boston here. They cannot go another season doing this whole merry-go-round with, is Lane's ankle going to hold up? Is it not going to hold up? Is he out? Is he not? They can't do that. The offensive line was clearly an issue last year, and the reason why they were so successful, as we all know, they've had the best offensive line in football for half a decade. So I like here, and I'm going to get this name absolutely correct with my buddy Max E. Hanachor out of Arizona State, who a lot of people have. That's kind of the buzz for the Eagles. I know a lot of people are hoping like a guy like Proctor, does Howie make a move up? If he's got a lineman, does Freeling, if he falls or if he's around that area. But at this point, again, we're not doing trades here, so I'm going Max E. Hanachor out of Arizona State for the Eagles.
Yeah, I love that. And all jokes aside, I think Devontae Smith is going to have like a JSN type year. I think he is that dude. No, I don't know if Jalen Hurts could be Sam Darnold, but no, yeah. So I think the Eagles are okay with the receiving room, and they're not going to like force a pick here in the first round. Howie is very smart. He's going to go get his guys. He's going to fill those trenches like he does, and I definitely agree that offensive line is the biggest need here for the Eagles, who are always at the back end of the first round unless they trade up and somehow land Jalen Carter, but. Yeah, so Cleveland here with their second pick of the first round. I think I went Caden Proctor at 6, correct? Yeah.
Yep.
Cool. So this is another interesting pick that I think they could maybe kind of trade out of or not. So we went with offensive line. Never have enough offensive linemen. Also mentioned that receiver was a big need. Now, I love Omar Cooper Jr. I'm not sure that this is the spot for him. I was kind of hoping that you would have read the tea leaves and like known that Frank Signetti's brother is the coach in Pittsburgh and like recruited Omar Cooper to Indiana, but it's okay. It's okay. I'm playing. So I guess it's between Omar Cooper Jr. and Akeem Mesidor. I feel like here for the Browns. That who is that receiving core? I mean, are they really going to go out with Jared Judy and? I mean, is it? Oh my goodness! Anything? Can you think of who's in Cleveland?
Is there a Cedric Tillman still catching
Yeah,
passes?
I think that's probably who it was in the back of my
Cedric
head.
Tillman, Isaiah Bond, and then Harold Fannin.
Yes, that's it. Yeah. Whew. Yeah. Um, Also, I could see them being a team that like is okay with Jamal McCoy's medicals, even though he might not be ready to play, week 1 or even this year. A lot of bad stuff has came out about Jamal McCoy this last couple weeks, who might even be falling all the way out of the first round. I don't know. I think someone down here will take a risk on him. Is that Cleveland? It could be, but I think we're going to go with Akeem Mesidor, high mortar guy. Put him next to Myles Garrett and just let him feast. Like I said, you never can have enough guys in the trenches, never going to have enough defensive linemen. Just rotate them guys out, keep them fresh. So I'm going to go Ed's University of Miami, Akeem Mesidor to the Cleveland Browns here at 24.
Yeah, he was an interesting contrast to Bain. He seemed like he had a little bit more burst and speed. Obviously, they're kind of the same size. Ben's a little bit heavier. Mesidor's a little bit just an inch taller, a little bit longer, but they were a good 1-2 punch. And I think you're thinking with the receiver here could be good again, but we don't know where the Browns' head is at. They've got a Deshaun Watson. Do they think that they're going to compete? Is this let's build the roster and we're going to worry about quarterback next year, and also we're not going to reach for a wide receiver here when we just want to build the trenches? It's. I think we're going to have some surprises, but I like the pick here for the Browns.
Could also see maybe just double dipping the offensive line twice, but I don't know if Barry would be okay with that.
Also, I think the evens, you're cleaning up on these double dipping picks here. You have the Jets twice, the Cowboys twice, you get the Browns twice.
Yeah, I think it's the Dolphins and the Giants that we don't. Yeah. That we each get one, correct?
Yep, and I get the Chiefs twice. My favorite team. All right. Bears. The Bears. The frisky Bears, man. This Bears team was pretty fun last year.
Yeah, oh my gosh, all of them.
Yeah. They had, and it's an interesting contrast to the year before. So in 2024, they are, 4-1, 5-0, hot start, lose to the Jaden Daniels Commanders on that Hail Mary, and the season just went off the rails and tanked. I mean, I think they may have won 1 or 2 games for the rest of the year. Then they come back last year. Ben Johnson's at the helm, and the offense looks great. It's creative. They've got juice. They could have very well beaten the Rams in that playoff game with the Caleb Williams 4th down, Cole Kmet off his back foot, end zone. I mean, they were right there. So this is a team that does have a lot to be excited for in Chicago for the first time in what feels like a decade or more. Maybe since Jay Cutler, which is funny to say.
We've never done a Baboorian Boutte mock draft and the Bears been this high. Like
No.
there's no way.
No. And looking at their team, I don't know if they need to necessarily go offense again. If they went offense, I would think it'd be trenches. They've got a good young receiving core, and I don't think they would want to reach here. So I think it's about shoring up the defense. And you mentioned some of the medical stuff with McCoy out of Tennessee. I'm going to go with another corner, Avion Terrell out of Clemson here, because this roster needs corners. They've got a solid defense here, but I could have gone trenches, defensive line, but I'm going corner here at this spot.
Yeah, I'm not going to hate it. I would have gone Emmanuel McNeil-Warren, safety, but I can't knock Eric for his picks at all. Definitely need a corner there in Chicago. Also probably an edge too, but I don't know if TJ Parker is their flavor or what they kind of want to do. Definitely don't think that they're a Jamal McCoy team. I definitely think you take advantage of Caleb Williams. And even though we're lower on him or I was lower on him, you still take advantage of that rookie deal, and you don't want to have guys, with medical concerns like Jamal McCoy on the team. Also, the Bears did trade DJ Moore to the Bills. Ironically enough, they picked next. But yeah, you got Roma Dunze in there. You got Luther Burden. You got the other tight end, Colston Loveland. So Cole Kmet. Nice little running back duo as well too. So I like going defense here to kind of fix that. The Bears were in a lot of close, tight games last year, the last 2 years, really, like we were talking about. But yeah, definitely help your quarterback by helping your defense. So and Terrell has a brother who's in the league already. So AJ, right? Yep. Cool. So little brotherly love there in Chicago. Looks like the Buffalo Bills are on the clock. It's funny. People think I'm just gonna hate because it's Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes, but this team has a lot of holes too, Eric. Like they're also like the Chiefs, and they can't figure out the wide receiver position. I don't know what it is. Like they can't be like the Vikings or the Bengals and just draft them. But the Bills have lots of needs. Like their offensive line might be the closest thing that's sure thing, but they need help on linebacker. They might need help on the interior offensive line. They need an edge. They need DBs. There could have been an Avion Terrell team here, but what are the Bills going to do, Jacob? That is the big question. They could see them getting another receiver, but like I said, they just traded, I think it was a second-round pick for DJ Moore.
Yep.
They got Keon Coleman. They got Khalil Shakur. So don't think there's a receiver they reach for here. Could be a TJ Parker team. Also, I don't think Emmanuel Warren goes there, but he could. Put me in a tough spot, actually. I'm going to go with the other Tennessee corner and Colton Hood and have him go to Buffalo. So we have corners coming off the board back to back. No real intel on other than Buffalo needs help in the secondary, and Colton Hood, feels a solid need. Probably a team though that could trade back and get some more picks and help Josh Allen out. San Francisco is not on the clock though.
And yeah, I think you made a lot of good points on Buffalo. I think last year between Allen and a really good run game, the offensive line played well, and help me out with the running back who
James Cook.
Yeah, did he lead the league in rushing last year? Or it may have been second.
It was touchdowns or yards. I don't know.
Yeah.
Or yeah.
Really, really good season. And actually, when they were winning games, it was games where James Cook was taking over, not Josh Allen, because I think they really were lacking in the passing game. So, and the defense needed as much help as they could with the offense kind of carrying the weight. So I think you made a lot of good points there. They need to hit here on on this draft. 49ers, 27. You mentioned him, but I'm going to take him here. TJ Parker, edge. This 49ers defense. It's really funny. You think just a few years ago, they had a loaded front seven, and Saleh did a great job. And now, you're looking at a defensive guys named CJ West, Alfred Collins, Nick Bosa, who can't seem to stay on the field. Warner's great, but he's not particularly rushing the passer, all the time. It's just a defense that needs a lot of help. So we're going TJ Parker here.
Yeah, I love that. That's a great pick. I don't think I've actually seen that mocked. So yeah, I love that there for San Francisco. There's another kind of weird team in like a really good division. They're sneaky though. If they figure it out, that I think they might actually win it. I'm not placing that or recommending it at all, but it's just weird. The line is kind of short. It's like plus 260, which I think it would be longer with LA and Seattle. So it's just funky. It's something to kind of keep an eye on over the next few months for myself. And when I'm saying to bet the Niners, I mean that's big because I don't like Kyle Shanahan and those boys out there in San Fran. But Houston, we have a problem because we want to trade back. But who's coming up here? Are we going to come get that quarterback? Are we going to do this? Are we going to do that? I don't know. But the Texans, I mean, they just played Will Anderson. That defense is probably like top 2, 3 in the league. They know how to draft. They're going to stick to their board. I feel like receiver is like a sneaky need because they have Nico, and then they have a whole bunch of just guys that like get hurt or whatever the case may be. I'm blanking on the one other receiver that they drafted. No, they did get Jaden Higgins and Jalen Noel. You're right. That was last year. Who's the other one from 2 years ago that like keeps getting hurt?
Are you thinking of Tank Dell?
I am thinking of Tank Dell. That is correct. Is he still a Houston Texan?
He is.
He is, yeah. So definitely don't think receiver is in need after Eric just helped me on who they drafted last year. But this is a tough one. I feel like they also kind of like revamping their offense even more than they did that last year. Like Miller, we still got on the board. CJ Allen kind of, seems like a Texan and a D'Amico guy, but I'm not going to go there. I know they just paid their Will Anderson, but Daniel Hunter, who's our other edge, is kind of, up in age and going to get pricey. So maybe they look towards that side of the ball. This is actually a tough one. I don't think I've had this tough of a pick all night long. I feel like all of yours have been super tough, so I definitely deserve this, right? Yeah, this is fun. Definitely think they're a trade out spot though. Just like who's gonna come up here and get it, right? That is the biggest problem. Do they go quarterback? I mean, no, I'm just kidding.
If I'm not mistaken, weren't the Texans a win away from playing in the Super Bowl? Is that who the Patriots beat or no, that was the Broncos.
No, the Broncos.
Patriots beat them in the divisional.
Well, who did Bo Nix break his ankle against?
Was that the Bills? That was the back and forth versus the Bills, right? And he knocked off Josh Allen.
And then, yep.
Yeah. Patriots beat the Texans in a sloppy little, yeah. And then we got to see the Jared Stidham championship game that we all deserved and wanted for sure.
Oh, yeah. I'm so salty about that, too, because I had a Denver winning the AFC, and I think Denver with a healthy Bo Nix probably beats them pretty good. And I don't think Houston is like a Jamal McCoy team either, right? I don't think they can kind of weigh in. Plus, they got Derek Stingley, so I definitely don't think that they are going to go corner. I think I'm gonna go Zion Young, edge, Missouri. I think that's what I'm gonna do. We're gonna just double check. Caleb Banks did check out today, though. I think it's good with him. Caden McDonald, though, also seems like he could just be a Ohio State, D'Amico. It's just like I don't know what it is. Just seems like that the Houston Texans are going to draft defensive lineman Caden McDonald out of the Ohio State. Now your second Kansas City Chiefs pick of the first round.
Right, McDonald. Our Chiefs. So first pick, we had them with Ruben Bain. So going defense. This seems like a spot where if the board is going to fall where it's going to be, regardless of what we feel about it, they do have the opportunity to upgrade their wide receiver room. Rashee Rice is pretty good. He's okay. Xavier Worthy, jury's out on that. Tyquan Thornton is like every fantasy wide receiver streamer's nightmare all season. He catches 2 touchdowns, and you're like, let me get him in the lineup. And then he goes 1 catch for 7 yards the next game, and you're like, I just hate everything. But I think if the board's going to fall here, I'm going to give them a guy in Omar Cooper who a lot of people, I've seen some who think he's going to go really high. I've seen some who don't even have him as a first rounder. So it's right. You've mentioned, is it a flavor type thing, but good production, really consistent. I think just all season seems like he would fit well in the Andy Reid offense with the Chiefs. So I'm going to go Omar Cooper here.
Yeah, that's scary. It would be so fun if he does fall out the first round and goes to like 34, 35. See, Vegas messed up when they beat Kansas City like week 17 or 18 because if Vegas wins that game, then they have the first pick in like 1 through 7, right? But since they didn't, like all the records are, so they have to alternate. And like having that first pick on day 2 is like massive. Like we'll talk about having the last pick of tonight, right? So, I love the pick for Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes and Omar Cooper. He's probably like my number 2 or 3 receiver in this class. And it's very weird. It depends on what kind of flavor, like you said, ice cream you want. I think he'll definitely fit this very well. He fits, Rashee Rice and Xavier Worthy also well, right? You could put him Mark Cooper wherever you want. You can play outside a little bit, but I like him in the slot. Definitely fun for Kansas City. I got the Miami Dolphins here on the clock. This is the Jalen Waddle pick, right? I believe they got a first and a third from Denver for Jalen Waddle. So it's funny. I was like kind of going through stuff a couple weeks ago, and I was like, oh my gosh. The Dolphins like traded Jalen Waddle. I just like completely forgot about them.
Seriously.
They're like the Arizona Cardinals to me of last year. Just like this team is so boring. But are they going to be the Miami Packers or are they the Green Bay Dolphins? Because they got the head coach. The head coach is from there.
Swapped the quarterback.
The quarterback. Yeah. This is probably a trade out spot, right? This is where someone comes up and gets one of the offensive linemen that is still on the board, which they with Francis Noah here, in the number 11, or this is where someone comes and gets Ty Simpson. For real, I think Miami is one of the teams that could take a chance on Jamal McCoy. Like they don't need him to come in week 1 and be a shutdown corner start. So I definitely think that he's on the table for them. I think that's probably actually what we're going to go with. Obviously, we've talked about receiver, but I don't think that you jump at any of these receivers and run to Roger Goodell and turn in the card for Casey Concepcion. So I was kind of hoping that you were going to go with him with the Chiefs. or Denzel Boston. I like Denzel Boston. Just the ceiling isn't high, right? I think he has a decent floor. He's gonna be a solid pro, but I don't really see the ceiling on him. So I think that Chris Greer, did he get fired in Miami? Yeah, he did. Obviously, what is his name? Oh my gosh, the dude from Green Bay, um, Sullivan. I think it's probably not though, but he's just gonna take a chance. He knows that there's nothing to win this year, so they're going to go Jamon McCoy, cornerback, University of Tennessee.
You're talking the coach Jeff Halfley?
No, what's the GM?
Oh.
Yeah, sorry. Jeff Halfley will like this pick too, though. The GM is also from Green Bay.
Eric Sullivan, John Eric Sullivan.
Sullivan. See, I was.
Look at that.
Oh, yeah, I did pull that one out.
Yeah, so I like that logic there. Yeah, I'm reading something that said they're thinking McCoy could need possible surgery before the season. So, right, it's almost a perfect situation of, if you get a few games out of him, it's great. Even if you don't, and you expect him to be, doctors think he can come back 100% after surgery, and the season doesn't matter anyway. Then we're on to next year, and
for sure. And I mean, if he does come out healthy, even if he does miss this year, I mean, he could have been cornerback 1, right? I mean, he could have gone in the top 10 if he was healthy. But obviously he got hurt last year. So, yeah, a falling corner, someone had to pick it up. So it's going to be the Miami Dolphins. But yeah, this is the Patriots pick. So this one is funny because we're going to go talk about Dan. I know you're all like wondering what we're talking about, but basically what happened is there was the league owner meetings in Arizona, and then Mike Vrabel went to Arizona State's pro day, which I was gonna suggest that you draft the guy that the Eagles drafted. It's okay though, Big Max, because that was a viral video that went out with Mike Vrabel and Max from Arizona State. And that wasn't the only viral video or photos from that weekend, because Mike Vrabel decided to go hang out with Diana Rossini for some getaway outside of Phoenix at like a $2,000 resort.
I think in Sedona, yeah.
In Sedona, yeah. So if y'all have been following, Diana was the only one on this A.J. Brown to New England Patriots besides myself.
Hey, God forbid a woman just does her job and gets some good insight from a good friend in Mike Vrabel. You know what?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know what the dancing on the roof though was all about. Especially since
if a man can't dance with a reporter on the roof as a good friend at a couples only resort, then what are we talking about?
Yeah, okay, you do have a point. But it's funny she resigned, and then they're just pushing the story with Adam and Ian now. So I guess the Athletic just pushed that one aside and gave that story to ESPN and NFL Network. That's how that works.
It's a whole weird.
So who gets the credit when AJ Brown gets traded post June 1?
Now, Rossini's gonna rise from the earth and get that credit somehow. She'll be back on Twitter.
Is she gonna join Barstool and Dave and stuff, or what's next for her?
Oh, she'll be picked up. She'll not be hurting for work for sure.
Why doesn't Vrabel have to resign? Why does he still get to keep his job?
Hey, they're just friends, pal. That's their story.
I have so many questions. Does she still keep her AP vote?
Oh, that part is it is actually an interesting conversation, and we could talk a lot about it. But it does get dicey when players' incentives and bonus money and actual dollars that teams are paying are relying on these reporters. And if you're voting with bias because you're, that gets into a real shady territory. So that is an actual good discussion. But
or you tell Josh Allen you're going to vote for him and you vote for Lamar Jackson.
Right.
And then you freak out because you didn't know the AP was going to release the. Yeah, we're not here for Diana, and she spells her name wrong anyway, so it's okay. On to the Patriots and 31.
Could go a lot of different places here. The roster's good. The wide receiver room has some room for improvement, which, as we just talked about, expect to add possibly AJ Brown within a month and a half. Defense is really good.
What more do you need? What more do you need? Didn't they get Romeo Dobbs? They already have Kayshon Boutte.
Your boy, yeah. And don't forget Matt Collins. Shout out, former Eagle. Travion Henderson's in the backfield, who explosive running back. Expect big things from him next year. I was thinking I could go offensive lineman again. They took Will Campbell at 4, some possible health concerns. Vera Tucker's on the inside. Probably Morgan Moses on the right. But I think I've got like a sneaky guy here. And for some reason, I don't know if I'm just doing an Aaron Hernandez, Florida on my mind thing with the Patriots, but Caleb Banks, defensive tackle out of Florida. So this kid would have been a surefire first-round pick. He's had some foot issues this season, missed a lot of time in 2025, but he recently sent out a letter to all the clubs like he expects to be ready by June. He's a big freaking boy, and I just think he fits well kind of in a 3-4 defense, at the nose tackle. They've got Josh Farmer here playing, I think you pair him up next to a Milton Williams. And I just think that a good front seven is kind of what they need. And we saw it, right? We saw Kenneth Walker run all over him in the Super Bowl, right? We saw the Seahawks beat him up in the Super Bowl, and I think that's going to be a point of emphasis for them. So I'm going to go with my boy Caleb Banks here for the Patriots with my final pick in this mock draft.
I love that. That's definitely a Mike Vrabel guy. That's a beautiful pick. You can't find big men don't grow on trees. So yeah, I definitely love that pick. Another big sexy in the trenches. This one's fun. I could go so many different ways. First of all, Seattle has 4 picks in the draft, which is the fewest.
Oh, wow.
They leveraged their picks this year for a Super Bowl, and it worked out, right?
It's a good trade, I'd say.
Yeah, I think so. So John Snyder is definitely a trade back candidate. He mostly trades back, right? They only have 4 picks. He's obviously gonna try to recruit some picks. 32 is kind of a special one because you do get that 5th-year option. Remember, we saw the Baltimore Ravens come up and Lamar's drafted to get him at 32. So have you looked at a few mocks? Do you see what people are doing for Seattle?
Yeah, I've actually kind of chuckled at it. The Jadarian Price love has been red hot, and obviously Notre Dame guy, and I love Price as well. I'm having a hard time getting on board with the first round price tag for Price, no pun intended, but there's supposed to be some type of link there. I don't know if is there like a coaching tree link? Is there like some type of connection between just Price from the area?
I don't know what the link is, but I actually did hear that, and I don't know what it is, but yes, I'll have to look more into that. But I think we're good. Can you see my screen?
Just barely.
Okay. So what we're gonna do here, this is an in-division trade, and the reason why I'm okay with this is because during John Snyder's presser, he vocally was like, "Yeah, I'm down to trade with Arizona if they want to come up and get their guy." So to make it work out, so it looks like Arizona is probably going to give up. I guess we will take I think a second and a third is too rich to come up to 132, right? A second and a fourth. Yeah, I think it's a little much, but I think that's what we're going to do. So the Arizona Cardinals are on the clock. Seattle gets pick 34 in the second round, and then they get a 4th round pick And I also, Will McClay, during his press conference with the Cowboys, said how Eric and I have been talking about this isn't a top heavy draft. This is more like second through kind of fourth, fifth round. So Snyder gets, one of those mid round picks where he finds, the Richard Shermans, the Russell Wilsons, the Bobby Wagners, those kind of guys. So obviously, no secret why the Arizona Cardinals are jumping up here. It's two things for me. Which at first, when I saw Ty Simpson was going to the NFL draft, I was like, well, that's kind of weird. Like, why would he go and then like not get picked and do the whole Aaron Rodgers kind of thing, Will Levis thing, go home and not come back and all of that? Like, he has to have some sort of intel that like he's going in the first round, or these teams are telling him. And then I'm like, well, ESPN would still like invite him even if he wasn't going to the first round, because they want that storyline as well too, right? And they've already lost the whole Fernando storyline just because it's not a secret, right? But like we were talking about in the middle of this, like if you want your guy, you're going to come up and get it. And I just think the Arizona Cardinals are one of those teams that's going to try to come up and get it. And without further ado, Alabama quarterback Ty Simpson is going to be the pick here for the Arizona Cardinals. You can really get rid of the Kyler Murray process, and they come out the draft with maybe the best pure edge rusher, and then you get your quarterback of the future. So if I'm the Cardinals, I'm sitting pretty happy here. As far as Ty Simpson, the prospect and how I viewed him, solid. Now the one thing on him is like the lack of starts, right? It's not very many.
Right.
What is it? Was it just the 1 year that he started? I feel like, yeah. So he was at Alabama. He just sat behind all of those starters that go through that program, which shows some loyalty and stuff, staying there. But then also, you want your guy to get the reps. So we've seen the Anthony Richardson projects who only started 14 games or whatever the case may be, and that didn't quite work out. But we'll see, though. I mean, Josh Allen didn't have that many starts either. So, and he turned out just fine. I'm not saying Ty Simpson is Josh Allen, but we'll see what it is. And there is even some guys that, have Ty Simpson a lot closer to Fernando than, me or other people. We'll see. The Alabama quarterback is very strange, right? They have all these other athletes and all these other pros and all pros and all this, but the quarterback, like, they haven't really had that one guy, except Jalen Hurts, right? And Tua was all right, I guess. Mac Jones, yeah, but so like, is Ty Simpson going to be that like franchise starting quarterback that comes out of Alabama? I don't know. We will have to wait and see. Wow, that was fun. How do you feel about the trade? Do you agree with the process there? Do we need to veto it? And
no, I'm cool with the trade. First ever trade. I'll also allow it being that your final pick and your Super Bowl champ, but that is, it makes the most sense. That's what we kind of expect. We've been talking about Ty Simpson this whole time. I like having him in this first round. A lot of the points that you made, so I like being able to get him into this draft just for our sake of the counting numbers of how many players we're getting here in the first round. I do expect him to go. So yeah, I don't think it's a better spot than to go here, because if, like you said, I think Snyder's even talked about it all week too. He's like, we want more picks. So we fully expected to trade out. So I like it.
yeah, and he's also on the cover too, so we couldn't have the thumbnail without Ty Simpson being drafted here. And yeah, it just makes a lot of sense. Like you said, Seattle getting those picks and whatever the case may be. I had one other nugget on that, but I missed it. Definitely going to be a fun night tomorrow. I think we're going to go like 29 out of 32, like exacto, like players. But like I said earlier, if we get 6 or 7 of these guys to the team, like I will be happy. Especially because like the top like even 5 isn't really set in stone, right? Like you could shuffle those guys kind of any order. Does anything, we can't really see who's available the way that Underdog does this, but I'm definitely submitting this so we can win. Um, is there anyone that you could see that we missed that you could think of, or anything that like stuck out to you, Eric,
No,
going
the,
through
the
this
only
whole
thing
thing
that
together?
sticks out, and I feel like we've had a draft like this before where it may have bitten us a little bit. We didn't go wide receiver until 10. We had a couple there. We don't have Conception and Boston going. Um, you hear back and forth. Some people think that all these receivers going to go. We obviously do not think as highly about the receiver class, but that's the only thing that's got me a little nervous. But maybe if these teams are smart like us, that they'll know that these guys aren't all worth first round picks. And but that's really the thing that kind of stands out to me. Other than that, we didn't have McNeil Warren go. I know he's high on the safety list. Some people feel either way about taking safeties really high. So I'm not too worried about that. But otherwise, I like what we've got on the board.
Cool. Yeah, I'm with you. And I did remember what I was going to say. But while I say that, how many offensive linemen, you can tally up how many offensive linemen we drafted. But with the quarterbacks and us getting Ty Simpson in this one, remember with Shador last year, we didn't have him in our first round. And obviously, we all know what happened with Sanders there. So I think we do pretty good with like figuring out which of the quarterbacks are going to make it in. How many O linemen do we have?
I got it at 7.
Ooh, like even guards included, or is
Mhm.
that just the tackles? Okay, interesting.
Yep.
Cool. Yeah, so I think there is like a few, like you said, EMW, and then Blake Miller and Denzel Boston. So like these 3 guys are the ones. Also Chris Johnson too, but we're not going to get all of them. Maybe we will. But definitely a fun year. I think it's almost more fun when it's like this and we don't really know what's going to happen. And there's so many teams with so many needs that like they could really go BPA in it, just however their board is, and how the board falls to them. But this was awesome. I really appreciate you doing this with me, and thank you everyone for tuning in. And without further ado, we are out of here. Everyone enjoy the draft tomorrow, and make sure you to tag me when we go 32 for 32
Yes, we will.
tomorrow night. Peace.